Okay, so we're back. It is New Year's. It is New Year's Day, and as you just saw, I did a little New Year's Eve quickie project, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first of all, Happy New Year, Happy and Healthy New Year to everyone. I want to first talk about my class. So, I finished the School of Motion intermediate C4D class called Ascent, and very intense. 12 weeks. The last 3 weeks was the final project, and I managed to get it done, and was fortunate enough to get some excellent, very detailed feedback from the TA. Most of the students don't get the final project in. I think there were a couple of more, and some very, very lovely work. And when we watched the video of that, the instructor made, looking, I guess he was looking at previous classes, some of the stuff was just amazing, to the point that he said one of the submissions gave him imposter syndrome. If you don't know what that is, that's when you look and say, "Am I really good enough? Can I really do this?" And it's everyone has it. I mean, even some of your favorite celebrities, your favorite actors have that sort of thing. So anyway, um, the biggest issue I had on the final project was the fact that as a programmer, my inclination is to jump right in and say, okay, we got to do this. How am I going to do that? And start trying to solve the technical issues. And I have to force myself, and I'm going through some videos to try to learn more about how to do this, to start with the planning, the style frame. Say, okay, these are my shots, these are what they're going to look like. They talk a lot about mood boards, so that's when you get images to give you inspiration about the thing you're making. So if you have to do a building of, a shot of a New York City timeline, what you might do is get the timeline, sorry, not timeline, skyline. What you're going to do is you're going to maybe get a bunch of pictures of New York City skyline, and that'll give you some inspiration there. And of course, I learned a lot, and that will be shared. I plan to take some of my new knowledge and share it on the channel, of course. I have some ideas for videos. Pyro, which I sort of got interested in. They have a whole new pyro system in C4D. Dynamics. And one thing I learned on that lesson, on that assignment, is you can't always count on dynamics alone. Sometimes you have to use other tools to get it to work. And we're going to talk about that. I do want to start getting into some of the new dynamics, some of the new soft dynamics. We actually didn't, the lessons were based on the old soft dynamics. I suspect that's something that they need to update, and I suspect they also should be bringing in some of the new pyro, because the pyro is entirely new. The idea there is it's supposed to compete with Houdini, and I want to personally get more in depth with that. And you saw I used it somewhat in the little New Year's Eve video. The other thing I want to talk about on the channel is Redshift versus Octane. They're both, now of course Redshift comes with your if you get you get a basic version of Redshift, I think, just with C4D, and you can get the full thing. I think that's an additional charge. And of course, if you get Maxon 1, you not just only get Redshift, and you get ZBrush, which is a totally different animal. That is your modeling tool. And I did take advantage a little bit of that in the when I was doing the final project because I didn't like my models how they come out. So I put them in ZBrush and kind of tidied it up a little bit. They still weren't great, but and you also get the whole Red Giant stuff, which is extremely useful if you are an Adobe After Effects user. That because you can use that stuff. There's pretty much all the tools. They all go on there. They all apply, and they have things. Even a compositing tool to make make the compositing a bit more robust. That's natively in After Effects. Of course, you know the compositing tool in the industry that's used in the movie industry is Nuke. And DaVinci Resolve's Fusion, which is part of the DaVinci Resolve product, is also node based. It's similar to Nuke in the way it works. After Effects is layers based. So let's see. So now I just want to show you the the New York City scene. So let's look at this. We're going to go real quick. So you can see the materials I used. This neon pink, pretty simple material. This came from this one. Most of my materials I just grabbed from Grayscale Gorilla to make life easy because I was trying to do it quickly. Now let me show you this. Where is it? The Octane Sky. I downloaded an HDRI to give the backdrop, and so that's how I did that. I couldn't find the perfect one, but I found one that said, okay, this will sort of give me what I want. Of course, I used Pyro. So you can see I have, the Pyro was on a disc. I also used a kill box. Basically, the idea there is it's sort of an anti-Pyro that it's sort of an the kill box is sort of an anti-Pyro that what it's going to do for you is it's going to kind of counteract the Pyro, and so it stays within the area you want. So, for example, I found a video that talked about this. You make the density negative, you make the temperature negative, set at 0, and now you set them at 0 and negative, and you set noise, set things at negative or 0, and that will counteract the regular Pyro, which of course has density, it has temperature, and so on. You can see the difference here. And what's beautiful about the new Pyro is you just put the tag on, it gives you this Pyro default, and this does give you some settings for Pyro. Now, it could be a little complicated if you want to do different Pyros, but that's another story. Now, what's nice about Octane is in their latest version, and if you're going to use Pyro, get the latest version of Octane, is they have all you have to do is throw the Octane object tag on the Pyro, and it'll give you, in the particle rendering, you'll get what, excuse me, you'll get all the settings you need. And it's native, so you don't have to feed it a volume. So let me show you this here. In the Pyro, you have this cache. Now, you don't need to do that to get the cash with this new pyro. However, I strongly recommend you do. Once you get it looking how you want to look, cache the scene, get it in here, because and what happens when you cache the scene is it'll automatically enable this, and it's going to make your life easier, because this pyro takes a lot of memory. It's very common to get errors saying you used up all your memory and so forth. So this avoids that and makes you you can go through things faster. It's just a good way to get things to go. Now, one thing is I found it's probably useful to make sure you're getting the final look, to actually do a render to picture viewer, so that you can actually see. Because I was getting things that it didn't quite look the same when what I saw in here, versus what I saw in what's coming out in. So this actually looks pretty good. So it may help to at least check your stuff, double check your stuff, by actually having it rendered, a frame or two to the picture viewer. And the one other thing I want to talk about is this material. Some of the materials. This here neon pink was extremely simple material. Oh no, this wasn't the one that was quite so simple. But you have an emission, your noise. They use a gradient here, and so on. So that's that. The one, I don't know, I was looking at one that was real simple. Oh, it was the glass. Yeah, the glass material I used on the sphere here is extremely simple. Just rounded edges. The other interesting one was this. So, let's see. When you look here, this one was rather interesting because, so you have your blue color, and of course you use a roughness and a normal map. It's very common when we had our lesson on materials. You don't. The problem with 3D or CG is things can be too perfect. So you generally put things like normal maps and bump maps and roughness and things of that nature to give it some imperfection. And what they did here is they had this shiny material here, in the albedo for the color, the metallic, because this is metallic, and then they had a roughness map, and they had a normal map, and they used an RBG image as a mask to kind of show where it's going to show up, the different things are going to show up. So this is a very common way of making more complex materials. So I think at some point we may want to talk some more about this sort of thing. I'm also going through some stuff on that, and it's pretty similar whether you're using Octane or you're using Redshift. The concepts are the same, and sometimes when you can download materials where they'll give you, they don't put it together, but they'll give you your bump maps and your roughness maps and so on, and you can put it together somewhat like this. But you can see this is mixing two materials, and let's see, this is and it's mixing them and using the math to show where each is going to be. So that is that. So that's basically, one other thing. I use splines a lot. So the first spline I used was this pole here. There's a spline in there. I aligned the sphere to the spline using this align to spline tag, and then you can move the position. And also the letters are letter splines, and I put into a little circle some depth. And what you can do with that is end growth. I start at 0, go to 100, and so then it comes and displays. So that is it. So that's how the little scene was broken out, and I think I've given you some preview of what I plan on doing on the channel. And again, happy and healthy New Year to you and yours, and I will speak to you next time. Take care.